Hello guys, today we are going to be analyzing another interesting video. This video is an eye-opener because it's going to show you a lot that has been going on behind the scenes in this struggle that we have been in for the past 7 years without you realizing. Today, I would like for us to highlight the nation of Eritrea because you'll be listening from one of our leaders, and this leader is actually following the example of a nation like Eritrea. I would like for you to listen to this carefully because this leader is the one controlling our forces on the ground. That is, they take instructions from him. One thing I want to caution you on is that I want you to listen to this video with an open mind. When you come into this platform, we don't want to be judgmental. We want the facts because our goal is that our people, at the end of the day, achieve ultimate sustainable freedom. Sustainable freedom, keyword. So I would like for you to take a listen, and then I will make my remark when we come back. Let's watch the video.
Loudness, that it can be too bold, too loud to be false. They told you that Eritrea had referendum. That's how they got independence. That's where I want to start. Case study Eritrea. Their poster boy on referenda, pathway to independence. Eritreans were less than 1 million people. Ethiopia was about 80 million, backed by Russia, even the United States, other Western countries, against Eritrea. They fought block by block, hilltop by hilltop. They made their own guns. They captured those of their enemies and redesigned to adapt them to their own terrain. They did not blink. They did not beg. They did not appeal. They simply fought because they knew the power of Ethiopia that has salvaged Western imperialism from the anarchy of Adolf Hitler, that stood with the West in ensuring the demise of the axis of evil. They knew the power of diplomacy of the Kingdom of Ethiopia internationally. So Eritrea was not naive to waste its time in the corridors of power at the international level. Eritrea knew if it had to survive, it will have to fight, and fought they did.
So right there, you understand that Eritrea is the roadmap. It is the nation that is actually guiding this revolution. This is what happened, guys. When you go to court and say you want to preside over a case and you present evidence, you present witnesses, there are certain ways through which the judge or the lawyers will approach that case. They will examine, you say there was a pen on the table. That entire case can be dismissed based on the position of that pen on the table. That is, you can win that case or lose that case just based on that pen because they will analyze that pen. Let's look at this pen. Where was this pen? Did you say the pen was facing right or was facing left? And the reason why I bring this up Remember, we're doing this with an open mind, just observing, looking at the characters involved in this struggle, the roles they are playing. Where is it leading us to? Because this is a country that we love. This is a group of people that we hold dear in our hearts. Some of the people that have lost their lives in this struggle are our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our children. And it's very important that we look at where we are going with all of this, right? When God promised the children of Israel that He's going to take them to a land flowing with milk and honey, one of the things that they did was Moses sent spies, 12 spies. And he said, I want you guys to go into that land and come back and give us a report as to what you see there. You will realize that they came back and said the grapes was huge. The land was actually flowing with milk and honey, which indicates that that nation was extremely prosperous. Now, when I look at a nation like Eritrea, after the breakout of Ethiopia, this is something that happened between 1991 and 1993. Eritrea has had independence for the past 32 years. 32 years. The GDP of Eritrea is approximately $2 billion. The GDP of Ethiopia, the nation that they left from, is approximately 111 billion USA dollars. The GDP of Cameroon as a nation is approximately $45 billion. This is how we approach this problem. We look at facts, we look at data, we go into the lifestyle of the people. If you look at the nation of Eritrea today, the entire economy of Eritrea is based on agriculture and mining. And why am I highlighting this? Because you will understand that right now, since after independence, the people have been struggling massively. They've been struggling. And most of their money goes towards the military. I don't know what they are investing into, but they are investing a lot into military. And military is actually interfering with development all the time. And these are very critical facts that we should understand about the nation that our leaders are leading us to look like. When you want to travel abroad, have you ever thought of traveling to Eritrea? I don't think so. But Ethiopia today, if you look at the economy of Ethiopia, yes, it is a planned economic system, but Ethiopia is thriving. If you look at the industries that Ethiopia as a nation is involved in, I mean, it's huge. They are one of the fastest growing nations in Africa. Why do I highlight these facts? Because we could crave independence, which we think is a good thing, right? But we have to ask these questions. Where are we going to? And some people will quote South Sudan. Look at the GDP of South Sudan, approximately $3.6 billion. That is the GDP of South Sudan. Eritrea was ranked number 45 out of 46 poorest nations in sub-Saharan Africa. Be careful of what you're asking for. I just want us to observe together. I mean, these are the facts. These are the facts. Where you're taking us to, is it a land flowing with milk and honey? And what I think we should be doing is looking at the best nations or the best group of people in the world and trying to replicate their example. And for me, I choose the Jews. I choose America. And I believe that if we replicate these nations, there is no way on earth that we won't be blessed and our children will rise up and be blessed. I'm a big believer of copying what works. And another thing I want to highlight right here is I listen to some of these leaders speak and I question their motives. Because I don't just respect somebody because they have a doctor or a PhD behind their name. I listen to how they are solving problems, how they relate with people. I look at their strategies, their motives, their intent, and all of that matters in conflict resolution. When you hear some of our leaders speaking, do you ask yourself the question, do you really care about the people? Look at the kind of language that you use to communicate. Look at, because if I want to help the people, the first thing I have to do is do a research and understand the people. Most of Cameroonians are not that educated. When you communicate with this apocalyptic rhetorics, do you think that the people are understanding you? When you're commanding a soldier and you speak using these words, guys, I want to ask you, do you think that the people understand you? Is your purpose of communication to impress or to liberate? Is it really to help the people come out of a situation that you think they are struggling with? Or is it about some goal that you've had in your heart for a very long time and you want to use this opportunity to exercise your power over the people? I would like for you guys to briefly listen to President Barack Obama and how he communicates, because I know the purpose of communication is to connect, is to relate, is to persuade, is to actually help people understand what you are saying. And this is one thing we've learned, guys, and you know that if you live in America, wherever in the West, you know that when you want to communicate with a child, we are told that come down to that child's level so that they can understand what you're saying. It's not just about you impressing the child. The goal is that the child understands the instruction that you're giving. How many people can relate to this? Yes, some of us who are highly educated, we can be able to comprehend what you're saying, but I'm looking at the people. That is why I speak in plain language. And I still think it's even sophisticated. I believe that my rhetoric is still high for someone to comprehend. And I'm trying as much as possible to break it down because my goal is to make sure that I relate with you. So just from your communication, the role models that you're following and your strategies, and it's questionable. And you got to sit back and reflect. It's not a personal attack on you, but it's for you to sit back and reflect on what you are actually doing for your people and where are you leading them to. So listen to Barack Obama.
In the American saga, a belief that we're all connected as one people. If there's a child on the south side of Chicago who can't read, that matters to me even if it's not my child. If there's a senior citizen somewhere who can't pay for their prescription drugs and having to choose between medicine and the rent, that makes my life poorer even if it's not my grandparent. If there's an Arab American family being rounded up without benefit of an attorney or due process, that threatens my civil liberties. It is that fundamental belief. It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. It's what allows us to pursue our individual dreams and yet still come together as one American family. E pluribus.
And you hear how plain and simple a president communicates with the intent to change people, with the intent for transformation. The intent is to bring about change in people, influence people, lead them to a direction that they can feel like this is the place where they connect. Mind you, guys, America is one of the nations on the earth with the highest number of people that speak English, English to a certain standard. But yet the president doesn't speak in a language that confuses the people. That they just feel like you are sophisticated, you are educated, and they just fear you based on that. They don't really grasp the knowledge. You don't use beautiful, nice stories to communicate and break things down so simple that the layman can understand. Those soldiers, most of them are not educated. And so they should be able to take commands from you in a way that they understand what you are saying or the message you're trying to convey. Am I making sense so far? And this is why I'm doing what I do here, so that you see another perspective of this entire struggle. So another thing that I want us to highlight in this whole situation is to remember that we are dealing with a group of people. Remember, guys, the demography of Cameroonians. Over 62% of Cameroonians are below the age of 24. Over 62% of Cameroonians are below the age of 24. This group of people need a dynamic leader. They need somebody who can cater to their needs, who understands them, who can be able to help them create opportunities for them that can meet the challenges that they are facing on a daily basis. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I want to let you know that where we find ourselves today, it's not late for us to turn back and look at the reality that lies before us and face it. I'm going to provide for us a blueprint at the end of this video, so keep watching. But for now, I just wanted you to understand that a huge population of these people, they are relying on us. And you cannot have a fixed mindset to help these people. You need a growth mindset. Carol Dweck coined this out in her book on mindset. There's someone with a fixed mindset and there's someone with a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is, this is what ought to be done. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, I can't change from this position, even if I know that I'm leading everyone down the drain. I want to flex muscles, show you how strong I am, and I'm inflexible to change. And I repeat again, and I said it again, that God will never use anyone who is inflexible. God will not use anyone who is inflexible. You have to be flexible. You cannot hold an idea in your head for the past 35 years and think you execute it in 2023. Even if times have changed, we live in a whole total political landscape and social economic landscape, and you think that idea is what we need in this dispensation. Okay, so
we should not be manipulated to think we can alter the trajectories of wars. On the 24th and 25th of December 1914, on the Western Front between the belligerents of World War I, soldiers observe a period of truce. They left their trenches, they moved over to each other's trenches, they celebrated Christmas together, they went back, started killing each other. In some front lines, they even played football matches together until the leadership of both camps got angry and ordered those forces to go back into their trenches and keep fighting to make sure that, as what they said, goodness should triumph over evil. So my people, I understand the importance of Christmas to our soul. It is more than the birth of the Son of God, the person you believe as the one that should transition you from your life of mortality on earth to that of eternity after death. I know your attachment to the values, to the commandments, to the wisdom that are an embodiment of Christ's existence. I know he gave his life on the cross for all of us. I know he was betrayed by man. I understand you, and I feel your pain in what you have gone through in the past 7 years. And I have been listening to the calls I have been making consultation with commanders from FACO. There have been meetings between Supreme General of the ADF and other generals. There have been discussions in the background. We have weighed our options with respect to the celebration of Christmas in 2020.
Can you say if you... Okay. So the whole idea is we should cut off Christmas, right? The soldiers are not going to celebrate Christmas, and we understand the significance of Christmas, but we're going to cut it off because of this war. And that is very, very interesting that you guys sit there, we watch this happen, this leader that we are following, because I know, I don't blame the people. I don't blame you at all. Even the soldiers, the Amber soldiers, I mean, I know it's not your fault. You know, we believe in the power of leadership in a time such as this, and it's very critical. As a leader, it is important that we understand the significance of Christmas. That the breath in your nostrils, the body that you live in, everything about you was given to you by God. The ability to even study, articulate, learn, and see the way, and see the world the way you do, was given to you by God. Everything that we do have was given by God. And it's very, very important that in this fixed mindset paradigm, we should be able to understand the significance of Christmas to every human being, especially those who believe in Christ Jesus. Because whatever you seek in your life, whatever you believe that you want out of your life, if God doesn't say yes to that, it's a waste of time. So Christmas is not only a time where we reflect on that. It is not just for people who believe that after their time on earth, they will go to eternity and meet Christ. No, it is a time that we reflect, understand, give thanks, knowing that everything that we have, God gave us. And if you will even win this battle, God has presided over this. So celebrating Christmas, if you wanted to really win this war and you believe in Christ Jesus, you should know that just observing that day is enough to give you strength and perspective and the favor of God to push through this war. The story he cited, the people, even though afterwards they fought, but they observed Christmas. They hugged each other. They even played soccer. And after that, they said, let's go on and keep fighting. But they respected that day, sir. And I expect you, after I do this video, if it reaches you, I hope that you come back and let the people know that they should go out there and celebrate Christmas. Even the soldiers, they keep their guns down and celebrate Christmas. It is going to do a lot for us as a people. It's like somebody will say they are busy and Sunday they don't show up to church. And whatever you're doing, it's up to you. But if you believe in Christ Jesus, you should celebrate Christmas. That day is designed for you to know that your existence, we've come through slavery and slave trade. We have come through colonization, new colonization, all of this pain that we've gone through, including the marginalization that you guys are highlighting. We've gone through all of this. It's enough for us to thank God that we are still alive today. We are not dead. We are still thriving. We are pushing. We still have hope. And that is why we observe that day. Now, Donald J. Trump said something very interesting, which is what I want to highlight as well. He talked about resolving conflicts. You know, there's a different way that business people approach politics or approach the war. they believe that, like I just outlined the population of Eritrea or the economy of Eritrea, just to show you what that economy looks like, the kind of nation that we are going into. Because as a businessman, we look at problems differently. We see them as opportunities. We don't see problems and we say, oh, it is too scary, we can't handle it. It's different. And that is why you guys will need a leader that is visionary, but also has a business mind, because it will change everything on the landscape. You see what I'm saying? We need a leader that has a business mind, that has run businesses as well. It's very important. A quick story. There were two guys who traveled to India. They said, we'll just go to India and have fun. They went there, they rented a hotel, and they walked around the cities, and they realized that there were many people that were walking barefoot. They didn't have shoes. The people, places were stinky, it was dirty, and they looked at the situation and they were like, wow, people don't put on shoes here. It was quite interesting for them to see that. But this is what happened about our story. The most interesting part about our story is that when they came back, they were both studying accounting. Those guys, they were studying accounting in university. So when they came back, one of them said, did you see that many people in that country don't put on shoes? And the guy said, yeah, I saw it. And the guy decided to go make up a business plan, came up with a prototype, and said, I will make shoes and go back to that nation and sell to those people. I see opportunity in that problem. I see opportunity right there in India. The friend went back to school to study accounting. This guy dropped out of school and started a shoe business to solve that problem that he saw in India. His friend went back to college. This guy, within 1 year, became a multi-millionaire. His friend was still in school. He later on graduated college, and his friend hired him to come count his money as an accountant. Two friends, two people, the same problem, but they arrived at a different conclusion. One guy said, oh, look at them, they don't have shoes, this place is nasty, it's dirty. The other guy said, I see opportunity here, I see opportunity here. And they went out there and created this amazing business while the friend went back to school. So the moral of the story is perspective is everything on life. Perspective. You see Trump comes and reign, and you realize that during Trump's reign, there was no war. And you ask yourself, but why? Because they look at people, they value people. People are more important than resource. People are more important than money. People are more important than things. If you prioritize people, you wouldn't want them to die because they are the most valuable resource. When you put your head together with the right person, things can change really fast for you. And that is why you see a businessman values people. Let's hear what Donald Trump has to say about the war between Ukraine and Russia.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying, Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want...
Okay. You just heard that. I want people to stop dying. And I want to let you know I have role models in life. And if I see your role model, the person or the people that you look up to, I can tell the outcome of your life. It is that simple. And then I'll know if I should keep listening to you or I should tune off that channel, because I know where your life will end up based on the people that you're looking up to. Like you've seen, I show you Obama and I'm showing you Donald Trump. I'm looking at the Jewish community. I'm looking at America. And so you begin to understand that my ideas are coming from the best in the world. We are not cheap. We are not foolish people. We are smart. English-speaking Cameroonians, you guys are amazing people. And we should raise the standard for ourselves. And this is what I want you guys to note, guys. What I'm preaching here is not some illusion. This is my life. I made a comment about a couple of weeks ago, and I said, your parents' enemies are not your enemies. And someone came and said, what do you mean? My parents' enemies are my enemies. It is my life. And if you hear somebody like Donald Trump, he's not picking sides. He looks at the problem. I'll call these two guys together. They'll squash their beef and fix the problem. They don't need to die. People don't have to die. Did you hear that? Because if I said that you're always a black leg, I'm saying Donald Trump is probably a black leg. What do you think? He's probably a black leg. Right? So I grew up understanding that my father had conflicts with his siblings. They were not getting along. And I went and met a relative of my dad that was his enemy. And I was able to make friends, understand the problems that he has been telling me about from another perspective. And I got to learn and realize that the problem that my father told me, there was another perspective to that problem, which is why I encourage every Cameroonian. That's why I'm giving you another perspective, because it is my life. Because getting to know the people that my father was enemies with led me to creating relationships that led me to where I am today. So if I didn't go meet the people that my father told me they were his enemies, to understand who they are, their perspective on things, how can we work out our differences, unite as a family, and move forward? Because unity is very important, and I'm not going to make my father's enemy my enemy. And in that process, I realized that they were some of the coolest people that you ever meet on earth. But just because of slight differences, things went sideways. And because of that, I am here in the United States of America. I was able to come into this country, and I was received by my father's relatives that were deemed staunch enemies of my father. And this is my life. And I want to let you guys know that having grudges in your heart is going to hold you down. Thinking in left and right and people that you don't like, so everybody should hate those people. Your experiences should be transferred to your children. All of these ideologies are very myopic. They are limiting. You see what I'm saying? We are at the stage where the world is wanting to unite as much as possible. People want to move forward as a unit. You see what I'm saying? Some people have anti-West hate in their heart. They hate the white man. They have all kind of terrible things that they say about the white man. And I want to let you know, if the white man was that bad, will they create Facebook and have you come on Facebook? They would have restricted you from being on Facebook because they don't like you. They would have created YouTube and they will restrict you from being on YouTube because they don't like you. They would have created mobile phones and restrict you from using a mobile phone because they don't like you. And that was what I was taught for a very long time, until I came to America, and I did not only stay in my community, I moved to the white community, lived among the white folks to understand their mindset and where they are leading the world in their technology, in every advancement, in every product and services that they produce. I begin to realize the mindset, and so I begin to change my perspective about the white man. You will never ever understand the other side of the story until you really live among the people with your whole heart and an open mind to learn, and you begin to realize, like, this is the perspective of the story I've been told my whole life. This is what I've been conditioned to think my whole life, and I had to live among these people and understand another side of the story, which helped me to gain perspective, because the goal at the end of the day is that the human race move forward as a unit. No one should be left behind. Africa shouldn't be left behind. Cameroon shouldn't be left behind. English-speaking Cameroonians shouldn't be left behind. And this is my take, guys, and then I'll let us listen to another video, and then we'll wrap up this session. This is the thing, guys. If you look at where the war is right now and where we are going, you cannot be in your own vacuum, in your own bubble. You have to think of expansion as much as possible. More is better. More people is better. People are resource. This is another interesting video that I want us to listen to. It's a continuation of the video, but it's very important that you guys take notes Listen carefully. Replay the video if you have to. It's very important.
It's also about results. So when the CEO of a company presents the balance sheet after a year, the shareholders are expecting that their revenue intake far surpasses expenditure, and that dividends will be divided to the shareholders. They want to make profit. And if you are the CEO, you can't get a company to making profit, and then they're going to find another CEO. So it's about results. It's also about competence. Some of the finest CEOs in the world are very competent.
Yeah, that's very important. And he said, if you're not competent, you should be replaced. And the people that you see around the world that are great CEOs are competent. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. The people that should initiate change in our country or in our part of the nation should be people who are competent, should be people that have run businesses, should be people that understand how the world works, should be people that think in the dimension of expansion and not contraction. Guys, if we embark on a rapid transformation journey to ensure that we succeed at all costs in that nation, pool our resources together for that purpose. When we travel abroad and we want to come back home, we only think from an individual perspective. And with that, oh, I just want to build my house back home. I want to bring my car back home. And that is the idea. What if we came together and said, we want to go back and start projects and businesses and companies and agricultural projects that can involve the community, that when you come back and establish a business or building, the cooperation of the people within that community, that is the people's lives should be touched. The wealth circulates. Not circulating saying somebody gave you something. The circulation, I'm talking about businesses that can help people create a job for themselves or be able to have a job through that business that is sustainable. You see what I'm saying? All of this can't happen if we go abroad, come back, and all we care about is to build our own houses, and we don't think about these machines or tractors that can cultivate crops that can help our economy to thrive. Are you guys following? We need cooperative development, and we have to be intentional about it. I'm going to carve for us a path at the end of this, but I want you to keep listening to what our leader is saying.
Persons, people who are ingenious, creating opportunities, leveraging their power and their ability to create jobs and opportunities. Those are the attributes that we should embrace.
So I think I think we don't only have to reject some of the things that we've heard growing up. I think we got to eradicate them. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot going on here, and this is the roadmap, guys. People, when they turn 40, they are probably kind of fixed and set on their ways in life, and change is a little bit hard for them to achieve. Some people, based on when they were born, there are many dynamics and many factors that goes into that. People are wired differently. And the reason why I'm saying that is when people are above the age of 40, some of them, they are set in their ways and it's hard to change. No matter what you do, there are some of your parents, you can't even tweak them. They are set on what they believe, and most of them will end up dying like that. And this is how you save this group of people. Guys, if you're 40 and below, because this is how I look at it, because this is how we're going to go with this right now. You see what I'm saying? If you cannot communicate and understand, you cannot shift from your perspective, you have a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset, and we choose to take the red pill. We, the generation of young people growing up today, we choose to take the red pill. And that is why you see the guy in Burkina Faso will kick out the president that was not actually helping the people or listening to the people or actually helping the people to grow. And this is not something that I'm saying we encourage in Cameroon. But what I'm trying to help us understand is that we need leaders within our communities, because I'm a big fan. I believe that you got to start by taking care of your home first, and then you take care of your family, your community, and then you take care of the nation. If you haven't solved this part, then there is no way you can help the entire nation. I'm a big fan of that, okay? So what I'm saying is, if you are below the age of 40, those are the primary people that we need on this movement. It's not for everybody. What we are doing right here to bring about transformation in Cameroon, if you are above the age of 40 and you believe in that change, we welcome you. If you are above the age of 40 and you disagree with the perspective that we are looking at solving this problem that our nation is dealing with, we will not welcome you in our camp. We respect you. We say goodbye. This is not for you. But we want people who will take the red pill and say, guess what? We came here, we saw it. We don't want to be the 50-year-olds or the 60-year-olds looking at the problems that you guys have left for us, and we are trying to transfer that to our children. We want to trash this problem right now when we are strong and healthy and agile. Because if you're 50, as you say, you would have picked up a fight long time ago and not come when these lawyers and teachers are trying to propose that they should look into their situations and help them come out of marginalization. And then you slide in to pick up a project that you had in your mind some 35 years ago. It doesn't work like that. When you were young like me, you were young like these folks that you are setting up to go fight, you would have taken action and fight. When you saw all of these things going wrong, you didn't do anything about it. You would have started a war. You shouldn't be in a foreign nation talking about these things. You should be on the ground fighting with these people so that we can believe that you believe in this change that you are initiating. Be there with them. And we don't want to hear stories like, oh, most wars have been fought from a distance. No, you should be on the ground fighting with these folks. And the people in the diaspora will support you with finance. The people who believe in your cause will support you with finance so you can fight with the people. You know why? Because the strength is not there anymore. You see what I'm saying? The strength is not there anymore. And if you're on the battlefield, you'll be killed easily. And why I'm saying this is to say, these young folks, Cameroonians, English-speaking Cameroonians below the age of 40, I want to let you guys know that we are taking the red pill. The Mr. Leos, the Kosis, the Selatiers of Cameroon, your brothers from the English-speaking zone, and most other influencers and celebrities online, they've taken the red pill. Maybe you're not just seeing that. And the reason why is because I'm tired of seeing people dying. And I want to save you guys. Rising up to take up this task is not easy. But I know that with God, all things are possible. You see what I'm saying? They've taken the red pill. They sing in English and French. And most of the celebrities that we know from Cameroon, from the English-speaking part of Cameroon, they have the green, red, yellow on their pages. They've taken the red pill. And they are doing just fine with their lives. They are doing just amazing with their lives. And I want to let you guys know it is our time. Rise up right now and begin to think of how to penetrate the system that you find yourself in. Penetrate that system. Cooperate. I'm going to lay a blueprint at the end of this video, but I just want to throw this head on and let you know that you should not be the 60 or the 50-year-old that looks back and blame the past, or blame your parents, or blame someone else for the reason why you're where you are. We can change it. Steve Jobs says something very interesting, that when we grow up, we get to be told that the world is the way it is, and all you have to do is fit in and just live a cool life, get a house, get a wife. But he says that is a very limiting life. And he said, everything around you that you call life was created by people who are no smarter than you. And you can fix it. You can change it. You can influence it. You can influence that entire nation. It's a powerful thing to have that number of people that you can penetrate. You don't need a passport. You don't need a visa to go to French Cameroon. And you can penetrate that system and make your mark. For the past 50 years or 60 years, all we've been hearing is that, oh, we don't have opportunities because everybody's looking at resource. If you ask them, what is the primary strategy to develop that economy? Resource. But if you ask me, my primary resource to develop Cameroon, it is people. That is the difference. Growth mindset. Sustainable change. The people. not the resource. When the people start thinking differently, change comes. When the people start acting differently, change comes. When the people have a different set of belief systems, change comes. Are you picking what I'm putting on the ground? Not resources. All your old folks and all those people preaching separation and the whole notion is based on resource. If you ask them, their primary strategy to revive that economy is to sell resource and get money from that resource. They don't have creative ways. They don't know how you can get jobs abroad from Cameroon. They don't understand that, how to engage in trade, how to do business. There are numerous customer service jobs, people looking for people who can code, do websites and all of that. They don't understand. They might just lay this on the ground to let you know, oh, this is what we're going to have. We're going to have an online platform. But deep in their soul, what they really believe is how you will get resource to develop that economy. Because if you can have all these jobs, right, from back home, then there is no need for us separating, right? Because the government cannot take that money from you. If you are working from abroad, from home, if you're working abroad from home, there's no way the government can take that money from you because it comes directly to your bank account. They don't know how you can do that. They don't understand your challenges. They don't know how you relate with other people on TikTok online. They don't understand how you use Facebook to create amazing relationships. They don't understand the challenges that you're facing in relationships, in marriage. How men and women date these days. And all of that is very, very important for the sustainability of an economy. It's very important. And that is the perspective that I approach this problem from. Your culture, your dressing, your language, how you relate with people is a different way. And that is why we are saying we got to let go of all this tradition and tribal beliefs because they are one of the highest factors that have been hindering us. And we young people, we see the world differently. We see it completely different. And we are going to take it as we see it and influence it and change it. That is what we'll be doing for Northwest and Southwest. And guys, it is possible, again, I repeat, it is possible for us to be respected. It is possible for us to have equal opportunities in Cameroon as English-speaking Cameroonians without bloodshed, without people dying. And we can achieve this through what I call the English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. I repeat, the English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project is the blueprint through which we will achieve this goal. So that is an organization that we are creating that is embarking on projects that will help us create sustainable development. The whole thing, guys, is we need systematic change in Cameroon. And you cannot influence that kind of a system through legislation. I repeat that. There are many things you guys have written into law or legislated, but it's not actually happening in the real world, right? And so all of that legislation, let's sit on the table and dialogue. We're not going to work with that. If you guys don't want to dialogue, keep your dialogue. We're going to change that system. We will change everything within that economy within a very short period of time. Just watch and see. And I want to say these things are going to come. We will have everything without bloodshed. What English-speaking Cameroonians need is what I call systematic change. And systematic change doesn't come through legislation. And we can use this approach of systematic change without bloodshed to achieve all our dreams, our goals, and desire in Cameroon without people dying. And I've said it's true, the English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. That is what we will embark on. If you are from 40 and below, this is for you, because 62% of our nation is below the age of 24. And if you look at it, guys, more than 70% of that nation, or if not 80% of that nation, is probably within the ages of 35 and below. Because the life expectancy of Cameroonians is about approximately 61 years. So most of these folks that you're looking at, they have probably 10, 15 years and they're going to pass on. There's a time for you guys to hold the bull by the horn and say, this is our life. We're taking this red pill. We want the growth mindset and not the fixed mindset. And we are going to change our circumstances so we don't live to tell the same story that we're hearing coming out of their mouth. Most of the old folks that I know will support us here, they realize that this is the situation that they're dealing with, and they changed their approach. They were flexible enough. Some of them learned how to speak French. I don't know how to speak French. Some of them learned how to speak French, and they were able to change their condition. Some decided to travel abroad and look for great jobs that could transform their condition. And they don't sit there, whine, and complain. They went on and transformed their situation. And today we look at them, they are different. Most of them will be coming on board to support this project. Most of them will be coming on board to help us young people to grow. We have to draw this line. If you are above the age of 40 and you believe in this fight and this struggle, go back home, set up a camp and fight with your people. But the people from the ages of 40 and below, we are having a completely different approach to this problem. And we are starting this campaign. It should go throughout the nation, both home and abroad. If you don't want to be part of it, fine. But if you're 40 and below, you are welcome. And if you are above 40, yes, and you support this initiative that we can bring about transformation, just as you have seen in most of the developed nations that you live in, we support you and we welcome you into our project. We will change it. What you call life was made by people who are no smarter than you. And you can influence it and make your mark on it.
We must reject those attributes that we have become accustomed to in our upbringing within the context of the occupation of our country. We must reject the populist approach that has been exacerbated in our struggle when somebody comes online for a few days spewing hate, anger and frustration, blackmail, and we are all cheering. We must be able to ask individuals.
Awesome. So the first thing that I want to say, I love that because you have a plan. And when you have a plan, please don't call them blackleg if they have a plan. Because I do have a plan. I have a plan for our people. And that plan is coming after careful observation of what the best nations on earth are doing. And we'll be able to track and measure progress with that plan because it works. If the plan doesn't work, then we are not putting in the work. That plan works. Okay, guys, one of the group of people that have made significant progress throughout history is the Jews. They have been extremely successful in every nation on earth that they find themselves in. And that is exactly the energy that I'm bringing to our nation. It is going to be in the field of, we're going to have martial arts training for our people. So every English-speaking Cameroonian is going to be extremely strong. You can really fight. But our goal is not so that we go fight. We're going to be training that. Number two, we are going to copy the business systems of the Jews. We are going to look at how they treat money within their communities, within their family, which is very, very important. The Jewish people look at money differently and they start training their kids from birth how to think and act with money. And that is very important for growth. They teach them how to network. They don't just go to church for church like we go to church, we just worship, we come back home. No, they go to church for network. They meet amazing people in the church. And guess what? When they are going to a community, they look at strategic places to live in. When we are going to a community, we look at the places where we will find our brothers and our sisters. But for instance, when we're coming to Houston, we were very, very strategic about it because I've read a lot of Jewish books, had a lot of Jewish friends, and I do their martial arts, the Krav Maga. I've been doing that for years with them. And so with that, I learned a lot about their culture. And so I realized that in a book that I read from Rabbi Lapin, and he said, when they go into a community, they are looking for places between major cities and airport. That is very, very strategic because through major cities, you understand through the major airport, you realize that these are the group of people that are coming into the city. And so this is a kind of business that you can actually engage in within that community. With the cities, you'll be able to get down there and do trade and interact with the people. So they look for a strategic place to even buy or rent a house. So where we bought our house, we were looking for a place between where the airport is and a major city. Why? Because I read it and it was true. And this is the thing, guys. You might be asking the question, why do I talk about these things? Because I went through a lot. fire burnt my home in Dallas, Texas, we almost lost our lives. Do you understand that? And not only that, I had a tragic motor accident that I almost lost my life, but God preserved me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you want to talk about pain? I've seen my own fair share of pain, and I think God preserves me. You don't know what it meant when that morning we were coming down, and they said if we wasted 5 minutes in that house, we would have all died. I don't know how we made it out of that building with my daughter and my wife and me. We would have all died in that house. It was the grace of God that preserved me. And if there's anything I should live my life for, is to help liberate humanity. Because I saw the love and the care that white folks showed me during that era, including some people from our community. I should give back. I should do something to help free humanity. And I will start from my people. Do you understand what I'm saying? I left there. I went to the seminary, got a bachelor's in divinity. After that, I went on to do my master's in business administration with a concentration in finance. And I began to see how business works and understanding how you can transform people's lives through business. It is amazing. It's fascinating. And having Jewish friends and seeing how their economy works, they make sure that money turns within their economy at a minimum of 12 times before it goes out to the general economy. How did they do that within America? It's exactly what we will be doing in Northwest and Southwest. How to keep the money within the community and let that money circulate within the economy and within our economy, give birth to more money, and then before we let it out into the economy. In America, guys, they say money in the black community doesn't stay for up to 6 hours. It's gone back into the community. It's going back to the general economy. But the Jewish and the Asians, the Indians, it will stay up to 15 times. It will turn about 15 or 30 days within those economies, within those communities before it goes back into the general economy. And all of these systems are very, very practical, and you can implement them and get the result. Do you see what I'm saying? If we open our minds, and this is the thing. I want to make sure that this is very clear. There is something that is called the commander's intent. The commander's intent. It's a very fascinating principle that I read in a book. It's evident, right? Because it does happen. And the commander's intent was developed because most of the times the commanders used to detect. They would say, this is exactly what we need to do. The soldiers will stand in this spot. This is exactly how they're going to approach the enemy. And what will happen is most of those soldiers go into battle and realize that there is a whole different landscape. The topography is different. And so they are forced to change strategies. And because of that, they cannot change the strategy because their soldier or their commander told them exactly what to do. And so most of the time they will lose or they will die. Now, they decided to say, this is the end goal that we want to achieve. And the level that the commanders intend. Now the soldiers, if you get on ground and you realize that the topography is different compared to the one that you were shown, you are allowed to change strategy. But at the end of the day, the goal is what we want for you to achieve. We want to win. And which is what I put before us. The goal is that our generation, our group of people within the Cameroon don't perish. Our group of people shouldn't perish. They should be extremely successful. And so because I place success to be the goal, I'm looking for other strategies to arrive at that goal. Does that make sense? Within our country, we can be extremely successful. The Bamedeke people have proven that, but we are taking it to a whole different level right now. We will not sit and teach our young people that somebody who's rich is into cult. They probably killed somebody to achieve that. No, they will go learn from that person and be able to replicate the same result. That is what I'm talking about. Mindset shift. This is something most people haven't talked about. The mindset shift is huge to our progress and development. Moving from the scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset, from the fixed mindset to a growth mindset is a huge transformation in our personal lives and at the level of the nation as well. Okay, so I would like for you guys to briefly listen to this video. It's about the way forward. What the greatest among us have been able to achieve and how we can be able to replicate the same result if we do what they did. So take a listen.
Have you ever wondered why Jewish people are so financially stable? On average, Jews report higher household incomes than other ethnicities in America. According to a recent study by Pew Research, 23% of Jews say they earn up to $200,000 or more. That's 1 in 4 people. In comparison, only 4% of U.S. adults were able to claim such high levels of household income. But here's the thing, it's not a myth, it's not a coincidence, and it's not luck. There are strict financial rules hidden in the holy books that the Jewish people have passed on from generation to generation.
So there are strategies in the holy book. This is the thing that I find interesting. Most of us Christians, we have a different kind of belief about money. And if that doesn't change, even if we have independence or we live within Cameroon, if we don't change our beliefs about money, nothing will change. It's right there in the holy book. And the Jewish people have been able to transfer that from one generation to another. And so they think differently about money. This is what they have not been telling you in this revolution. Mindset shift.
From birth for thousands of years. And guess what? These secrets are timeless, foolproof, and cut across businesses, social interactions, money management, and wealth. In this video, I'll spill the beans on these secrets down to the last detail, how they cut across their daily lives, and how you can apply them using a really simple and practical blueprint. If you want your finances to take a 180-degree turn, you can't afford to miss this. There's a common misconception that the Jews embrace righteousness and have no issues with being poor, given that money is materialistic. But that's just way off the mark. Poverty isn't attributed to holiness. It's kind of like a disease that no one wants, and the rabbis saw no virtue in it. As a matter of fact, instead of being
the rabbis, their pastors, saw no virtue in poverty. That is exactly what we will do to our people in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, they will develop a different belief system around money. That is huge for economic transformation. Keep listening.
considered virtuous and desirable, rabbis describe it as pointless suffering. It's neither admired nor considered a positive value by the writers of the Tanakh. And get this, because poverty is something the Jews desperately avoid like the plague, they never fail to earn a worthy living through meaningful employment or a business, depending on the context. I bet you didn't know this, but in Jewish law, everyone is to do everything in their power to be self-reliant and not be a burden on others. Even when the rich give a help.
To be self-reliant and not be a burden on others. When we adopt this community perspective on life, this kind of community perspective about life, it hinders our own development. They see every individual as someone who shouldn't be relying on other people to do for you what you ought to do for yourself. And it is that kind of ideology that we will start spreading among our people and have them wake up and be extremely creative and productive. And it's possible if they have that leadership. Young people, you still have the energy, and we are going to take this road. Together, we will get there. Let's keep listening.
Helping hand through philanthropy or charity, the beneficiaries never consider it to be a reward for simply living. They are still expected to earn a living for themselves.
You see, there is no reward for just simply living. You gotta do something. Even when you're giving charity, it's not a reward. Keep listening.
Even as many Americans and Europeans struggle with credit card debt, student loans, auto loans, mortgage problems, and so much more, the Jews, despite now being scattered all over the world, still thrive in their businesses and personal finances. But the question is how? How are they so effective? The idea that Jews run the financial sector and the global economy is among the oldest and most damaging anti-Semitic concepts to date. Hitler even cited it as one of the reasons to annihilate the European Jewish community. And what about the condescending stereotypes? Jews are often seen as being cheap and greedy, both of which are just not true. When it comes to money, many Jews, especially the religious ones, look to the Torah, which is the Old Testament Bible, for direction. It teaches them so many things, like kindness, benevolence, and love for one's community. And the amazing thing is that it starts from childhood. Proverbs 22:7 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." It isn't just talking about frequent lessons. It means regular practice and applying them over and over again. Jews train their children to be independent thinkers and self-reliant enough to make sound financial decisions.
What we do is we give
Independent thinkers. You can't box people in a group and instruct them not to speak, and then you expect a different outcome out of their lives. Just being able to think is a problem in our community today. You're labeled a blackleg, you're labeled as somebody who was a traitor. You can't think. And that independent thinking is what led to the growth of someone like Albert Einstein. All the great thinkers in the 19th century and the early 20th century, all of these great leaders were able to think. People got to think their way, even through a problem like the one we find ourselves in. And I want to say, and I keep repeating this again, and I'm saying, in order for you to think, you have to risk offending people. But you got to think. Like I guess some of these videos, I listen to you speak and I think my way through some of the problems and challenges that we are dealing with, and I'm able to formulate solutions and strategies and direction so that our people can understand that they are doing actually the right thing. It's not about what you think, it's about the right thing that is good for each and every one of us. Let's keep watching.
Hanukkah, we start educating children about money. The gift we like to give children on Hanukkah is money, and we also accompany that with discussions of what money is and what it's about and what you have to. And now you have to, divide your money into three. One part is for charity, one part is for you to spend on things you need, the other part is to put away and save. So yeah, Hanukkah is the money time of the year for us. It's passing on to the next generation the principles of money that are so important.
They do this by using 5 jars with.
So this is the thing, guys. One pastor was asked, "What are you going to leave for your children?" And he said, "It's not about what I leave for my children. It's about what I leave in my children." The kind of group of people that we are going to live on earth today, whatever mistakes or challenges that we've experienced in our own lives, we should leave something better for our children. We should instill in them these timeless principles before we leave earth, and make sure that they are functioning, because it is what they will leave for their children's children. No matter where they find themselves in the world, they will thrive. It's not about a location. Wherever they find themselves, they will make it. Guys, true story. One of the things that keeps me going is the faith that my father had in me, because he believed in me. My wife, while I was abroad, and she came to visit my father while he was still alive, and she was having this interesting conversation with my father. And my father told her not to worry, that the son is going to be okay. He will figure out something. He will be okay. And when my wife called me and she told me that, and she has been reminding me of that all the time, that your dad believed in you and he said you'll be okay. That is enough to keep me going through every storm in life. And I want to tell the people of English-speaking Cameroon that you guys will be okay. It's coming out of a place of love. It's coming out of the place of compassion. It's coming out of a place of understanding that we will be okay, because my dad believed in me. And throughout my life, I've been able to be where I am just because of people's faith in me. They just see the passion, the energy, and the strength, and they just say, we believe you. And it's coming from a pure place of love. And he said, I believe in you. Let's transfer that to our children. Let us be able to look at them and tell them, with what we've left in you, we believe that you will thrive. It's not about the stuff you leave for them. It's about what you leave in them. Keep listening.
each carefully labeled: tithe, investing, savings, charity, and spending. Think of this as the piggy bank you likely have at home already, but with greater purpose. How about a practical example using just $10? After the child is given the money, he quickly calculates how much he needs to put in each jar. Starting with the biblical instruction of him giving back 10% of any earnings to God, he'll place $1 in the tithe jar, leaving him with $9. This is really important to Jews as it teaches them not to be greedy, an act that's emphasized by the next step, placing an extra 10% in the charity jar. Jews believe that giving wholeheartedly is life, and that they are building the community by doing so. But here's where things get really interesting. Beyond the charitable desire to help those who are needy, do you want to know why this second jar is so important? They believe that the more generous a person is in giving without expecting anything in return, the more trust the community passes on to the giver and will want to support him whenever he makes an enterprise. The benefits of this can
Giving without expecting anything in return. There are some people that give to you, oh my God, they expect exactly what they gave to you or even more back. They give without expecting anything in return. And with that, they build credit that the community ends up trusting them. And because of that, when they launch a business or start a project, the entire community shows up and support them. We have to learn how to give in our communities, help people without expecting anything in return. I just emphasize that so that we should learn. There will be some character change. It will be a challenge for some of us, but it's the path that will help us to becoming like the Jews, moving that continent forward, moving Cameroon forward, moving English-speaking Cameroonians forward. This is the nation that I'm looking up to. The best. We deserve it. We've come through so much to end up looking at Eritrea. We've come through so much to be looking at South Sudan. Let's take over. Let's take over.
not be emphasized enough. Support from a deep network is crucial to any business. Imagine learning such a powerful business principle at such a young age. You may want to remember this point, because it will make even more sense as we go on. Moving on though, the third jar is for investments. In the Jewish training system, kids are trained to place 20% of their money into this jar to practice anything they want, provided that it will give them more money in the near future. This isn't savings, it's strictly for investments. Yeah, you might think $2 is too little to make an investment, but how about something as simple as lemonade? When the jar racks up, they can start it. What I like most about this jar approach is that kids will be given full control and autonomy over when and where to invest their accumulated money. The parent wouldn't even intervene when the kid made a mistake in order to let them learn from their failures. This improves the child's decision-making and sense of responsibility. Just think about the difference it'll make when they get older. Increasing revenues will almost be too easy because it's like a habit. As for the fourth jar, Jewish kids are instructed to have 10% of their money saved for emergencies and unforeseen challenges. Yup, the hands-on training even covers unplanned expenses. The fifth jar, however, is where they save the remaining 50% that hasn't been accounted for. The kids can use this for whatever they like, however they deem fit. But that's just one part. There are many other lessons where that came from. The Jews have such a special way of viewing money. They spend within their means and always have to adjust their lifestyle to fit their income. Instead of being wasteful and spending carelessly, they'd prefer to do meaningful and valuable things, such as supporting their community and family and investing in their skills, knowledge, and education, creating more value and wealth. Just think about this for a second. Do you treat money carefully, or are you a spendthrift? Do you create more value with your money, or is it solely to make you look better? You may think that they're just being too frugal or stingy, but the truth is that they...
That's important. The goal for money is not for you to look good or impress people, but is to get your money working for you. And the Jews have discovered that, and it's very fascinating that we get to learn these timeless principles of how nations like this, group of people like this, are able to plan, teach their children principles of money. These are very important fundamentals to helping a child or helping a group of people to be extremely free out of poverty. Did you hear anything there about resource? Did you hear anything about geographical location? No. Do you hear anything about their territory, their territorial integrity? You don't hear any of that. You hear competence, the individual, nurturing the individual, building their character, teaching them how to save money, how to divide their money. And all of these are timeless principles that help a human being thrive in whatever economy. There's nothing there about resource. There's nothing there about territorial integrity. Keep listening, guys.
Money is not eternal, but is always subject to risk and change. There's a saying in the Talmud that efforts to earn money are actions, and attempts to save money are a reflection of throttling. Great wealth requires hard work to pursue, and at the same time, it is necessary to eliminate loopholes in order to accumulate. This statement tells us that if you want to be rich, you have to do two things well: work hard to make money and work hard to save it. When you think about it, it's quite true. If you want to amass wealth, you will have to increase your income while doing all the things you can to keep it going and spending less than you earn. Both of these things are crucial to growing your finances. Ask yourself these questions. Do you have a clear idea of how much you spend every month? If yes, do you apply any effective strategies towards your savings and investments? How about lifestyle? Is it frugal or edging towards being spendthrifty? Your social circle also plays a significant role in your finances. Not a lot of people know this, but the Jews place a lot of importance on socializing and making bonds with people in their community because it's crucial to their personal success and happiness. Remember the second jar of charity and how I told you that the community will do all it can to support those who have business projects? It's all about the network. In an average community, no one cares about the next person. No one goes out of their way to help their neighbors and their businesses and take things forward. Everyone is basically an island. However, it's a different ballgame in the Jewish community. Because they believe social circles will not only provide friendship and support, but also information and opportunities, they will work hard to create and maintain a social circle that is conducive to their development and growth. They will watch over themselves, assist each other, and ensure the cash flow keeps flowing within the circle. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to get rich, you must learn from the rich? It's heard the saying.
You see that? Because of that, that is why you hear things like the money circulates at least 14 days or 15 days within the Jewish community before it goes out to the larger community, because they prioritize these things. Without this, guys, you can have all the resources on earth and you still be in abject poverty. Do you know why no nation in the entire continent of Africa has a GDP of up to $1 trillion? Because of our lifestyle, because of our beliefs, because of our cultures, because of our traditions, because of all the things that we hold so strong, and yet it's not helping us to progress. We got to just look at a nation that has succeeded, or a group of people like the Jews that have succeeded, pick what they are doing and begin to copy that and set aside every difference. Don't tell me that because we are black. Don't tell me that. If they have two hands and they have two legs and they have a mouth, have a brain, and they are making it work for them, it can work for us as well. It can work for us as well. It starts with belief and faith that what they are doing can work for us. And when we start working hard, we will bring some of them to our communities to train our people, to show us stuff that we don't know. And that is exactly what we do. And that is what I've been doing in America. I go to the best. I associate with the best. I will show up there, network, make them my friends, ask them questions, and come back and formulate my thoughts and move forward in my own direction. That is exactly what I've been doing here in this nation. And it's possible for us to have that in Cameroon. It is possible for us to have that in the Northwest and the Southwest and experience explosive transformation within a very short period of time. They did it and it's working, we will work. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, guys, we got to support our own people. There was a time, a video that I made a comment on and saying we should support our own, and people were making a mockery of that guy that was telling the fellow Cameroonians to support their own. And they thought it was a joke. Do you hear that? The money circulates in the Jewish community. It is strategic for sustainable growth. They really care about their brother or their sister's business. You buy from them, you make sure that you pay. You borrow, you make sure that you pay when you say you will pay. All of these things matter for sustainable development of a people. Let's keep listening.
Pulled from the Talmud. And it tells us that if you want to get rich, you have to learn from and understand those who are either rich or...
If you want to get rich, learn from the rich. We cannot learn from Eritrea. Let's learn from the Jews. Let's learn from America. Let's learn from the greatest nations among us. You want to get rich? Learn from the rich. It is that simple. It can't get any simpler than that.
We're on a path to getting there. You can't just wake up one day and try to make your dreams a reality. You need to study and learn from the best. Only by doing this first can you gain their rich experience, skills, methods, resources, knowledge, and so on. This idea works even better when you're being mentored physically, because you'll also gain their trust.
I love that. I just love that so much, because that is what I live. You see, you learn from the best. You learn from the rich. You learn their skills, their strategies. You build bridges with them, connections. That is transformative. That is legendary. If you're below the age of 40 in Cameroon, I know your mind is open to pick some of these things. And if you're above the age of 40, yeah, some of you can pick some of it. Some people will have resistance because of the age, and I understand. But we will change that country. We will change our community. We will change our region. Our children will not live to tell the same story. We will not tell the same story of our parents transferring the pain of the past to us. And we got to be the people to go fight and change that. We will transform our lives and our economy and our children in this dispensation.
Recommendations and network, which could open a lot of doors and be faster for you. It's really interesting how just by reading the Talmud, we can learn the Jewish wisdom and secrets about how to make, maintain, save, and invest money, which could accumulate and lead to wealth. But thankfully, these wisdoms and secrets that have been passed on for generations don't just apply to the Jews. It's for anyone who wants to create wealth. There's another thing that I'd like to talk about relating to work. Have you ever wondered how much effort you'll need to get to the next?
Thank God for that. It's not just for the Jews, it's for anyone who wants to create wealth. Anyone who wants to create wealth. I'm happy that he said that. So I feel like I am that anyone. You, English-speaking Cameroonians, you are that anyone. You can create wealth. The greatest asset you have is this English you speak. It's a blessing. You see, I don't have to translate that. I just hear it. And I know that is the greatest asset that I have, to be able to comprehend English. It is the business language of the world. And you all can speak English. Do you know what we can do together with this language that we speak? Do you know what we can achieve together? Just by the mere fact that we can communicate in English. And we think the purpose of the English language is just to say it's a national language. No, this is treasure. This is treasure. Most people in French Cameroon, they send their children to go study English. This is treasure. We don't only have to use this language to play politics. We have to use this language to transform the world, to create businesses, to build relationships, to network, to bring in opportunities, to create bilateral relationships. That is the power of this language that we have called English. It's not for us to wait for the French government to come create for us what we know that we can move our way around somehow and have this establishment within our community.
Next level in your work life? A lot of people make the mistake of bending over backward to make ends meet, thinking it's the best path to financial freedom. And while I admit I used to think that way too, the truth is that it's an endless chase. Putting in more time and work isn't going to create a larger vessel. Let's say you have a shop and make hundreds of dollars of profits. Will that increase if you work extra hours? Would it give you the revenue needed to expand and create more branches? If not, why are you bending over backward by putting in more work? Instead, you've got to go back to the drawing board. You've got to learn from better minds and apply the right steps to take your shop to the next level. Again, working smart will always beat working hard. Speaking of businesses, when it comes to business transactions,
Go back to the drawing board. It applies even with this struggle. When things are not working, don't say, this nation fought for 30 years and we are just 7 years. We have to keep fighting. No, go back to the drawing board when you realize that things are not working. That is why Eritrea find themselves where they are today, struggling with drought that they cannot handle. If they were part of the larger community or larger nation of Ethiopia, that problem could be solved. Now they have to deal with their military and helping their economy survive, and they don't know how to even do that. And that is what we are dealing with here. You see what I'm saying? Go back to the drawing board and restructure that vision and be able to accept if your strategy will not work and change. Growth mindset and figure out what works and model that. And people shouldn't die. Is it possible? Yes, think. Thinking is hard, right? To come up with a strategy to solve a problem without killing is hard, right? So just say die, because if you die, that's the only way. You get what I'm saying? And I have this much passion in my heart because I know that people are doing it every day. Great nations around the world, they are doing it. The Jewish people are doing it. They don't have to fight with you. They would use their brain. Let's get that. Let reading of books become a culture. I once visited a Jewish friend of mine, and when I walked into his house, it was an older gentleman in his 60s. I walked into his house. There were books everywhere. Like when you go into some houses and you see toys, no, they have books. Kids are reading books. Parents are reading books. They actually read books and they extract timeless knowledge out of books. It has to become a culture. Some of the books, we have to translate them even into pidgin for people to understand. And some of the books, we have to turn them into I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to be able to transform this knowledge and transfer it into our people, so that they can understand and comprehend the timeless knowledge in that wisdom, so that they can be able to go out there and change their conditions and change their mindset and change their lives. Do you see what I'm saying? That is what I am talking about. Go back to the drawing board when things are not working. I don't believe that we keep pushing. Life is not supposed to be hard. People will tell you that it's hard because they don't know God. These people know God, and so life is not hard. They follow principles and it works for them all the time. We think we got to be in war for 20 years, 30 years, and we're like, we are strong, we are powerful. No, that's weakness. How can you get it effortlessly? That is the way it works. And he's saying that you don't have to do that because people think, I'll put in 30, 40 hours, 80 hours, 90 hours a week. Then they say you're strong. No, how can you work less hours and get more? That is how the rich get richer. By creating systems that work for them, why they don't break their back to make money. They create systems. That is what I'm talking about. Systematic change is the strategy, the ultimate path for English-speaking Cameroonians to get respect, love, and equal opportunity in Cameroon without bloodshed. And as said, we will only achieve this through the English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. That is the project that we are embarking on. The English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. And it will work. Don't tell me that it won't work. If it worked for the Jews, it will work for us. And all of these timeless principles that he is outlining, we will apply them and much more. This is just a tip of an iceberg. We will apply this and much more and bring mental transformation about money, business, and how the world works to our people. We need faith in this. We need faith in this. I mean, faith, ultimate faith in this. It works. Like you asked about a plan, this is a plan. Okay.
Jews, or at least the traditional ones, they're always upright. They're some of the most honest people you can deal with.
Working smart will always beat working hard. Working smart will always beat working hard. You understand that the French government, they know how to fight with brute force, and you think I'm going to come with my own brute force and we're going to hit heads together and somehow we're going to come out strong and break out of that nation. Working smart, not hard. That's why we go to school and study. We should work smart, not hard. Why are you stressing? Why? Go back to the drawing board.
Deal with, and they treat a lot of the other party with the utmost respect. Personally, I've experienced this a lot. I've lost count the number of times I've been given amazing deals and first-class customer service from Jewish businessmen.
Honesty and respect. We got to instill that in our community. Honesty and respect. And we reward this attitude. Honesty and respect. It should not only be at the level of leaders. Every citizen within the English-speaking part of Cameroon should practice this. You will attract other nations. You will attract the French people. Anyone that deals with you and realize that you are honest and you respect them, they will come back. We'll teach our people this. It's not your fault that we are where we are today, but we have a responsibility to change it. And we will do just that. With where I've put my head, there is no way. I want the best for myself and I want the best for my people. And I will show you nothing on this channel except the best that we should be looking at.
At first, I thought it was a coincidence. After all, good people do exist, even in the business world. But then, given how the patterns were just too repetitive, I had to do some digging of my own. But boy, I was glad I did. You see, the Torah places emphasis on surrounding oneself with people who don't cheat and have strong moral values, while cautioning those who intentionally take advantage of others. Nevertheless, do you want to know what I find interesting about this? Their integrity keeps their customers coming back for more. I always see myself getting things from the businessmen who weren't trying to one-up me over those who were just...
You see what I'm saying? They train their people with this habit. Don't associate with people who cheat. Don't associate with people who take shortcuts. Associate with the right people that will teach you the right values, that their life is a classic example of what they preach. This is what they train their people. We'd never had this, right? It's just normal in the community. You just have like, oh, it's okay to just do the wrong thing. This is what we learn. And we can actually start from now moving forward and start doing the right thing and change our people and have a total new breed of people in the English-speaking zone of Cameroon that Africa has never, ever seen. And we can do this. And there is a roadmap to achieving that. There is a blueprint to achieving that. And we will lay that foundation, bring peace in our nation. Within 2 years, we'll be able to have even the attention of international community. We are not going to ignore the international community. We believe that they are big brothers in this world. There are some nations that we will learn from. Africa has not been able to even produce a technology or a platform like Facebook or like YouTube. And we are using it today to communicate, which tells us that a nation did that. America produced that. And so we will agree that they are advanced in these industries and we will learn from them. They are big brothers. There are some people that came before us and they have advanced their economy or their countries more than the way we have. And so we will learn from them. We will model from them. We will be humble and learn in that process. We won't have any, won't puffed up shoulders. We will learn.
In it for profits. So here's the big question. Are you currently saddened by the fact you weren't lucky enough to have started most, if not all, of the approaches right from a young age? The truth is, it's never too late to start. Take me, for example. I wasn't spoon-fed these secrets when I was a toddler. I got to know of it, researched more, and applied it to my life ever since. Believe me, when I tell you that it has been a blessing in my life. No matter how old you are, you can start applying these rules and principles today, starting with the festivities that are fast approaching. No matter how little, start somewhere. It started out like a crazy idea for me, but after a while, the results were incredible. Also, don't forget to make deliberate plans to train your children, especially if they're still young. This could potentially be one of the best investments you could make in their lives. That said, you can choose to ignore these secrets and keep living with your normal routine. Just don't forget that it is not a coincidence that the Jews are where they are today. You could make in their lives.
This is potentially one of the best investments you can make in your children's life. It's not resources. It's not preaching to them stories about how their past looked like or how their ancestors look like. It's about teaching them progressive principles that you can instill in them and it will change their own lives. And he says something very important. He never learned this as a child, as a toddler. But he said there is no barrier because no matter how old you are, you can start learning these things today and it can change your life. No matter how far we have come, no matter how old you are, English-speaking Cameroonians, you do understand English, so you have an advantage to learning these things very easy without translation, and we can start doing it today. When you have businesses that are actually helping you guys to circulate money among each other, there is no way for you to be broke. That is why when the rest of Cameroon is saying, oh, we don't have money, people don't cry. They don't feel bad like we do. And we can learn these principles from the Jews, apply them, and they work. And there are workshops that we're going to conduct, special mind drills. These are not just some platitudes. We are going to drill our minds to the right direction because everyone has to be intentional about this change. You want the change, right? We got to be intentional. You will read the book that you got to read. You will go to the seminar that you have to go to. You will be intentional about not cheating, not lying, and making sure that you do the right thing and be a responsible citizen in society. We want change. We are really going to go for it. And I want to let you know this kind of change is more harder than the war. You see what I'm saying? But once you get it, it is easier and life becomes better. But it is easy to do war. You see what I'm saying? But it's hard to have this internal transformation. That is why people opt for war. But once you embark on this journey of transformation, of mental transformation, community transformation, intentional transformation, it is tough. But once you go through it, you come out on the other side a firm and solid human being that will look at anyone in the eyes and not blink and tell them what you think, how you feel, negotiate, transact, do all that you can to be the kind of person that they can trust. And guess what? You are not scared. You're not freaking out when you walk into the room. You know who you are. You know how to negotiate business better. You know how to transact better. You know how to love and be generous better. When some of your pastors says, let's give tithe, let's give offering, oh my God, your stomach squirms because you don't have. It is a culture. It's a culture over here because they don't lack. It's a lifestyle. And it's not a resting place for others who receive charity. They know that it's not because you are alive so they should give you something. No, you know that you should get off your back and do something with your life. It is not a coincidence. It is not luck that the Jews are where they are today. It is intentional. They intentionally transferred the timeless principles of how money works in the Bible into their children. Remember, I taught us at some point about laws, about principles and laws and how traditions are formed. These are new traditions that we have to start transferring to our children. Instead of teaching them how to go down and act in front of a phone or a chief, we'll start teaching them how to behave and act with money this way in society. We'll be transferring to them traditions of honesty, traditions of being somebody that people can count on. Those traditions are the traditions we will transfer to the next generation. I hope you've had tons of value in this video. I hope this video has inspired you. And now you've understood the roadmap that systematic change, sustainable systematic change is what we need to free English Cameroonians, help them achieve that equal status and be respected in Cameroon without bloodshed, without war. And you guys can achieve this through this project that we have initiated, the English Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. This project is designed to systematically change our story for good. And again, I repeat, from the words of Steve Jobs, everything you call around you life was created by people who are no smarter than you. And you possess the power to fix it, to change it, and not destroy it. I love you guys so much, and until next time, stay blessed. All right, if you like this video, you're gonna like this other episode, and you can watch it by clicking right here.